Well, hey, main event though
Yeah.
was Sean O'Malley versus Chito Vera, right? And you have your Sean O'Malley shirt on. Yes, it's the second time they fight each other. The first time they fought each other, Vera catches O'Malley with that calf kick that takes out his nerve. O'Malley can't really walk after that, and then Chito Vera just lays some massive ground and pound, some elbows straight to the forehead, which ended that fight.
Yeah. Kind of weird though, right? Because like he hits the nerve, gets the drop foot, he goes down, and then just like doesn't block any of the ground and pound. That was kind of weird. It's like because
Yeah.
he was just there for all the ground and pound, and you're like, maybe he's just in so much pain rolling his ankle that bad that it's like he wasn't even there anymore. I don't know, but kind of a weird finish there. The
Super
ankle
weird.
shouldn't affect the way to block, But that being said, the fight doesn't really count if you ask Sean. So here we are for their first fight.
And I mean, even though that was Sean's first loss of his career, here we are now. He's currently the champion, the bantamweight champion, right? And so a lot of people that think that there should have been other people or somebody else that faced him for the belt, but due to the drama and the history there against Chito Vera and the trash talk in the UFC, thought, why not toss him
Let's
in
do
there?
it.
Let's do it, right? Hey, before we start talking about the fight, shout out Anonymous for joining us, talking about Petija. Make sure you stick around a little bit later. We're going to be covering the One Fight Night 20 as well. And shout out Ganscal, already saying the Suga Show.
Sugar Show.
All right. So what do you think of the fight?
Fucking masterclass. Absolute masterclass from Sean. Cheeto's one of those guys. I thought this fight was going to be kind of a slow, like, fight for most of it. I thought Sean's a very good counter striker. And Chito is so good at absorbing a ton of damage and then landing his big shot at the end of the round. And I thought O'Malley would know that, and because of Chito's low output, he'd be reserved to counter striking on even less opportunities, and we might see a little bit of like a chess match going across the distance. And instead, O'Malley was like, one way to deal with those fighters, like Yoel Romero. I thought this was going to be like Izzy versus Yoel, but one way to deal with that is instead of allowing him to shell up and uncork those big shots late. It's just you absolutely overwhelm them with feints, with straight attacks from the outside, and you just overwhelm with volume that they never even get going. You just don't even let them get into that second gear or get to uncork those shots. And for a lot of this fight, it was just double jab, triple jab, shoulder feints, following up with a two, circling out, the weave. It was beautiful to the point where Chito he was lost for most of this fight. The numbers on this fight are insane.
Yeah, and first, the pink shorts.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome.
Love to see some individuality.
Some creativity being allowed other than just the hair. And we know that O'Malley is super creative with his striking. He can come at you from every which angle. And they've always said that fighters, when they become champions, automatically see an increase in performance, right? Something about it. Like as soon as you get that belt, the confidence, that swagger, something happens where they just automatically jump up like another 20%. And this is exactly what I was about to mention right over here too, where he's able to come at you from every which angle, man, and he lands that massive knee. How did he survive that? How did he survive that?
Rich, sometimes we have pictures on here where it's almost like stop motion, and you like cycle through the next like few pictures and then go back and then redo it. And yeah, if we could just go with these three, I mean, oh my God. If you're not on YouTube, for sure watch us on YouTube or Twitch or somewhere where there's video, because I mean, it's just insane. Great job, Rich, by the way, too, in the background, producing the show. But one of the things that I really liked, Gasca says that knee was so loud too. It was insane. The crowd was so loud by the time that we got here. It was empty for a lot of this event, but then by the time we got to the top, it was very loud. And that knee, you could hear it. It was so loud. Brian, shut up. Brian says, I can't comprehend how a person can take the knee like that and just stay awake. Yeah, because you're not choosing to get knocked out when you get knocked out. That's just your body is done. And I mean, some people just have a threshold, that
and in some cases, I'm sure that people probably wish, like, man, I wish I would have gotten knocked out with that one, because I probably wouldn't have felt the pain. And
dude, it's got to be rough this morning. It's got to be real bad.
He got picked apart, man.
dude.
He really did.
And one of the things that I really liked, I watched. Shout out Jack Slack had a cool. Every once in a while, he'll do like a filthy casuals guide to a specific fighter and a specific aspect of their game, and he put one out for Sean that was like, he's so good with the open side when they're open stance, right? You could tell he really likes to be open stance, whether it's southpaw or orthodox. Whatever you're giving, he's going to do the opposite so that they have an open stance, and that opens up the open side high kick from your rear leg, or that big power shot that lines up when you have an open stance. And one of the things he does so well is he'll draw you to throw your big rear hand. He'll fade back and then snipe you with his rear hand in that open stance, and he does it so well. He did it. He does it with the front kick to get your big your reach. That's what he did with Aljo. He does it with his own cross, which is what he did with Eddie Wineland. And he's so good at striking, moving backwards. And that's what I was really looking for in this fight, especially early on, was how is he going to draw that big, reaching overextension power shot from Chito and snipe him with his cross. And you could see the first round, it was a lot of Chito switching stances and then Sean immediately switching to make sure they had the open side or an open stance, right? So if Chito went orthodox, Sean would go southpaw, and then Chito would switch, and then Sean would switch so that they're open stance again. But he never really drew that out of Chito, and then it seemed like he just switched and was like, whatever, we'll go close stance and I'll work off the jab, and it was beautiful because I don't think that was Plan A. I think Plan B or Plan A was to have that open side matchup, get the outside foot position, snipe him with the cross, snipe him with head kicks from the open side. But then Chito just kept switching. So he was like, you know what? Whatever. I'll accept the close stance. And the close stance, it's harder to land your cross, but it's a lot easier to land your jab. And he was just over double jabs, feinting the jab to land the right hand. I mean, it was just, by the end of the fight, Chito was just legitimately like covering up and cowering off of feints. It was crazy.
Reacting to everything.
Crazy. Yeah. And
you can't blame him, dude. Like, he's just getting pieced up the entire fight.
Dude, this was the second largest striking differential in a bantamweight fight of all time. The first one was O'Malley versus
Chris
Moutinho. Yeah, Moutinho. Yeah. So the striking numbers are insane. I mean, just a beautiful masterclass. And one of the things that Chito really does well is, as the fight extends and he sees your output, because he's so low output all the time, is that he gets so much reading opportunities because it's all you. You're the one that's going the entire fight. He's just reading. And that has costed him in the past, but sometimes you watch him against, Rob Font, and he makes those reads. You watched him, he did well against Aldo. He lost, but he did well in that same type of style. Dominic Cruz, Frankie Edgar, same thing. But one of the things that he does really well is he'll get reactions out of you, and then he'll find those tendencies. And like with Dominic Cruz, he found if he throws his shot, Dominic Cruz is weaving off to the right or the left, I think it was the right. And then eventually he caught him in that weave with the high kick, right? And that's how he dropped him. And same thing with Frankie Edgar. He caught him with the reaction, and then once he read that reaction, he lands the front kick, or whatever it was. I think it was a front kick. And there was times in this fight where O'Malley was weaving off his right over and over again, and I was like, "Oh no, that's the read. The left high kick is coming from Chito. Eventually, he will throw it." And then it was just he was stuck in the mud, dude. He never. I don't know if he ever even got to that. Yeah, I don't think he got to make the reads because he was overwhelmed. It's hard to make reads when you're overwhelmed,
I mean, and when it gets to the point where you're so worried about what's coming your way that you probably have a hard time thinking about what you need to throw in the opposite direction.
Yeah, because
right? You're just so worried about where the angle is gonna come from. Is going to be the double jab, the triple jab, like you had mentioned, is going to be the knee, whatever it may be, that you're not able to make the reads like you normally can.
Yeah, how do you plan in the future when you have to only be thinking in the immediate?
Yeah, it's tough. So, if you talk about O'Malley and you say what's next for O'Malley, it's got to be Merab, right?
It's got to be Merab, and I like, he called out Ilya. Real quick, Chito's most significant shot of the entire fight was with the last second that left hook to the liver.
Yeah.
There's one. The last picture in here should be the liver shot. Well, not that one. It's just more Chito. I was trying to find pictures of Chito landing, and I'll be honest, there really wasn't any.
Not many.
I had to go get the stream back up and screenshot this because there was no photos really anything significant that he landed. But he eats this liver shot. The fight ends, and he just immediately walks over to the cage and sits down. And Joe asks him about it in the post fight, and he's like, "Whoo!" He's like, "I'll be honest." He's like, "I thought I could just last 5 seconds, stand in the pocket, and trade with them," but that one got me. It's just cool to see him humble like that.
Yeah,
because there's so much undefeated.
But the only time you get that with Sean O'Malley is usually right after the fights.
True, yeah. Because
if you ever notice that, most of the time that he's just at least I think himself, but that he does show that humility is right after the fights. Outside of that, he always has Suga show on.
Yeah, and to your point, and what you just asked before I derailed it, he calls out Ilya. It's a decent call out, right? Get me a private jet to Spain, whatever, blah blah blah. But then he's like, you could see, I guess go with that. But you could see in his mind, he's like, I know that's not like that's the money fight thing to do, but it's not the champion thing to do. And then he switches real quick and he's like, or if you guys want to see me knock out Merab, I'll do that too. And it's like, nice. I like both. Give me a little bit of both. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do think he is.
If it's up to you, Merab first, Ilya second, if he's still champion.
Merab first, Sanhagen third or second. And then we see after that what's going on. But yeah, Ilya needs to defend his belt against a 145 pounder, and Sean he's got contenders. You don't do super fights, change divisions when there's contenders waiting, in my opinion.
Yeah, and same thing for Ilya, right? Like if you're Ilya, probably the Volk rematch.
Either the Volk rematch or probably the Volk rematch or Max. Max is about to fight Gaethje. I don't see that going well, but if Max can beat Gaethje, then I feel like give him whatever he wants. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%, man.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, champions need to defend. They should not be doing super fights, especially if you're Ilya. You just got the belt. You can't be doing I don't like that. I know Islam did the same thing when he fought Volk, but Volk was great, and that's why that opportunity made a little bit of sense. It was more to do with Volk's side of that than Islam's, but Ilya's not great yet. Sean's not great yet. So let's get some defenses in there.
Yeah. Hey, and we have both sides of it. We got Ganscow that says, fly a boy over to Spain already.
I know. Well, look, it's provocative, gets the people going.
I guess people going. George says, if it makes money, it makes sense. Shout out, George.
If you ask Nate Quarry on Reddit like a month ago, we were talking about the class action lawsuit. And he said, Dana told me, or told all of us, remember when they used to do those like the fighter summits, and they had those fighter summits, and they had Kobe Bryant speak, and Kobe Bryant was like, y'all need to unionize. Yeah. And the UFC was like, whoa. What are you doing?
Thank you, Kobe Bryant. See you later.
Yeah, Kobe Bryant, everybody. But Nate Quarry said that Dana told all of them at one of those summits, title fights have nothing to do with who deserves it. All that matters is what makes money. And it's like, fair enough. At least you're honest. Sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, man. All right. We can go on to the co-main event.